Well, I want to share with, first, I want to thank you kindly for allowing me to be here and speak. Second, to tell you, this is new to me, getting up and speaking in public, so it seems like every time I do it, I make one mistake that I go home and kick myself about. But any of my friends that make good suggestions, I appreciate it, and they've helped me a lot. My history is I was on the Hiram City Council for 6 years. Hiram is my home. I know the people of Hiram, and I think in anything we do, demographics play a big part in what we do. Well, I have seen lately, Hiram has always been so very proud of the reserve funds. We were promised 39 years ago, if we voted on the referendum to bring alcohol sales into Hiram, we would never have city tax. And now I'm seeing that just go by the wayside, because in the last few months, most of our council, enough to carry the vote, have elected to deplete our reserves down to, we started with over 7 million a few months back. We're down to 2.9 million, and I see that dropping more by spring. By the time some of these projects are done, I'm really worried about us having any reserve funds left. And that means there will be property tax. One issue they're trying to do in Hiram right now, or they're wanting to change from the occupational tax when you get your business license to a gross receipts, which would require all of our business to give personal information. And you can never go on gross receipts. A lot of businesses only have really a 5% amount they can put in the pocket and, and live on that. And I think I love Hiram, I love all of our businesses, and I think we will lose so many small businesses if we do this. But on the other hand, these small businesses are coming at us with, okay, if you're going to tax us, tax the citizens. But it's not really, none of it is really necessary. I had a friend tell me yesterday, and I liked this, is let's govern responsibly. We know what we can do to get within our budget. We have had a deficit now for several years, but there's a way to work that out if you govern responsibly. Another issue that I have is, and Vernon spoke on this the last time I was here, and I think that sewer is vital, and I wanted sewer for our downtown. We started this dream 5 years ago to have a nice little downtown. But it came back at so much more than we were led to believe. So I simply asked, can we not wait a few months? Can we not see if there's other funds out there to help support this sewer? And for some reason they made the choice, no, we couldn't wait. We're doing a streetscape that is so much more elaborate than what we've always done. Everything we've done since I've been on council, we used our SLOSS dollars for, our capital improvements. Therefore, we left our reserves alone. But that is not what's happening now, and it's troubling me. And I think demographics play a big part in what the people want. And in Hiram, I just don't see these people. They've always been happy to be there, live their life. They do not ask a lot of the city of Hiram. What service they get, which is water and sanitation, they pay for. That is really the only services that Hiram provides. But they're okay with that. And I don't see the citizens of Hiram, and this is the dream that some of them have right now. We build townhouses all over Hiram, and then we sell $400,000 townhomes to people because they want to live right in the city center. We're so many years out from that, and I truly, truly hate to see us, and I hate to see what has happened to us. These people, we have always had a sense of pride about our reserve funds, and now they're gone, and it's really sad to watch. And that is something I hope I can change. I do have, I think, some really good ideas how to balance our budget, so we do not have to do that. My concern now is how will we replace those reserves? I don't know, but maybe there'll be a way. maybe there'll be a way to do it, at least build it back up to where we never have to impose tax on our citizens. I think everybody, when the time comes that it's time to vote again on SPLOST, that's something we all need to be a big part of, because it is a blessing to these cities and the county. You know, our SPLOST dollars are. But, you know, those are the things that I'm against. I am disappointed, and I can tell you firsthand, I had heard about the commercial flights out of the airport, but I thought it was somebody talking. And this person talks a lot. I ignored it. And a few months later, it came to be a reality. So yes, I can look back and know that this was done without anybody in Paulding County or the citizens of Paulding County being aware of what they intended to do. They absolutely wanted it, because when this person told me, she said, don't tell anybody. So that lets me know that they did do this, you know, without the public's knowledge. And I think that's sad, because it's never been, from what I have seen the years living here, it's never been that the people wanted an airport. But everybody I think now is hopeful that maybe a good general aviation airport could bring jobs to the county. But commercial, I think there's still a lot of people very concerned and very opposed. And I am opposed to how it has been put on the backs of the people without their having a voice in it. That bothers me. I would appreciate, like I said, I thank you kindly for having me here. Any support you can give me, just a smile, a word of encouragement is important. But any support that you can help me with would be appreciated. Things are so much more costly. And in this election, my first election, I had $100 6 years ago. And I made it work. But this is a different election now. And so I have been amazed at, you know, how much I do need to run a, you know, just a mediocre campaign. So if any of you can help me in any way, it will be greatly appreciated. It will. And just remember us, pray for us that we can make this happen, because it's for the people. It's not for me. It's not because I want recognition. It's for what I know that the people of Hiram want, and I just hate to see it happen to them. You know, I'm for a small government. Taxes are a necessity for us to have our roads we travel on, our waters we drink. I understand that. You know, the taxes are a part of life, but you can be overtaxed, especially when it's something you're not really for to start with. You know, and these things have troubled me, and that's the reason I stepped out to run, and hope that if I am elected, I can make a difference. I can stop some of the spending, because it's very troubling. I thank you very much.
Do you want to take some questions?
If anybody has any questions, I will be happy to. Yes, sir.
I've got a question. You mentioned the possibility of some new property taxes, and would that only apply to commercial property businesses, or would it also apply to residences?
Residents.
And if it applies to residences, is that only with those people who are in the city limits, or would it apply to the unincorporated areas?
It would only be the city limits. And they have the mindset that if they do this gross receipt on all of our businesses, which are the lifeblood of Hiram, I don't know what we do with that. It's made us what we are.
Right.
So now we have a lot of business owners that are very upset about the gross receipts. And we've had more than 1, 2, and 3 say we will move down the road. You know, because they rent. They can go down the road. And it's your smaller business owners that are going to be hurt the most. And it could very well prevent new businesses coming into Hiram. But now these businesses, the point of view they have of it, okay, if we're going to have to pay additional tax, the citizens should have to pay tax. So that is what is going to be so controversial, because the citizens were always promised. I mean, I think promises are important, and I know 39 years later, maybe I'm looking at it wrong, but they were promised. You know, just like the county was promised, you know, that it wouldn't be a commercial airport. How many times were they promised it would not be a commercial airport? And they've broken that promise. And now I see Hiram breaking their promise. And I think that's wrong, especially, like I said, we have so many citizens, they're not concerned with a lot of fluff. Just let them live their, go to work, live their life day to day, come home, enjoy the sanctity of their home. But yes, sir, what they're doing first is we're going with this gross receipts, or trying to. It has to be voted in. The vote was to come up October the 6th. I'm really wondering if it will. Because, you know, I don't think they really want to put it on there, but vote on it before the election. I don't. But I just see the avenues that they're taking, and it could be that they will change from gross receipts because of all the businesses being made. They're going to change it up from gross receipts and just decide to tax them more for their business license, plus put a tax on the citizens. And when it comes down to it, I really believe, I really know that I am right, that there are ways we can get our budget back in line without having to do this. And that's with small government, but responsible government. You know, I mean, not taking away, not rolling up our streets or anything. But like I said, since I've been on council, we have done some really great things, but we have used our SPLOST dollars to do it and left our reserves alone. And this has happened to them in the last few months. So that is why I decided I need to get out there and have a voice and try to change it, if I possibly can, try to change it up.
Okay, thank you.
On that reserves, that means that $1.4 million was used. Is there a listing of the big ticket items that they spent this money for, and of what period of time they spent $4.1 million?
Sharon, it was probably about 6 or 7 months ago that our auditor told us we had over $7 million. And I went back and I reviewed some tapes, of the meetings, and he was happy to tell us we were in good shape. And we've always been told that, and we felt like it was. Now, because you've got the sewer, which, like I said, I'm for sewer, I just wanted to hold off and let's see if there was not some grant money out there, something to help the city of Hiram, rather than, take on the whole cost of it. For some reason, they decided they couldn't wait. So at that point, now, Sharon, you're looking at, that was about 2.3. We took it through a subdivision where we really disrupted their lives. Now we have got to spend about $500,000 to make them happy with some issues they've got. We've got to spend, because of what we've done in their area, we've got to, tell them what we'll have to spend on, planting privacy trees and everything, because we just changed the whole looks of a development they've lived in for 40 years and loved it. Old growth trees. Then like I said, the streetscape came in at about $1.3 million, which all the time we wanted to carry it. We wanted it to carry from the end of Powder Springs. This is council from a few years back when we were planning all this. We had the SPLOST dollars to take it from that intersection to downtown and pay for it, and then wait on SPLOST to add to our streetscapes eventually. But again, they made the decision to do this $1.3 million, and it's going to have a lot of added expenditure to it. They're changing an intersection that we even asked our police chief, has this intersection ever been an issue? No wrecks, no backup, but they have decided to make this a very elaborate intersection, probably like you've seen nowhere else almost. But that's going to come in. It was voted on at 1.3. It's going to, go over that. We're already seeing change orders where they've hit rock and stuff. So I'm truly scared that by spring we will have, if we have $1 million, it'll be good. I will say we're fixing to resurface Nebo Road. I did vote on that one. I didn't vote on the others. My reasoning to vote to resurface Nebo, when the county 6 years ago, or 5 years ago, they increased our SPLOST to 5.64. We were getting just a little over 3%, which is a thorn in my side, and Vernon knows this because we're the cash cow down there, basically. We bring in a lot of tax dollars, and we get a very minimal amount. But that's okay, as long as they choose to do the right thing with what the county gets in Dallas, then, good for them. But when we did that, And I have I have the email, the county says, we will give you 5.64 if you resurface Nebo Road. We agreed to do it. So now it is time that we do what we said, we committed. We promised to do that 5 years ago, and we have put it off. It's been delayed. And finally, myself and another council person said, we cannot go back to the county next year and ask for the same SPLOST dollars, maybe more, and them say, well, y'all didn't do what you said you were gonna do. So this is why I did vote on that $1 million expenditure, because it was a promise made to the county that we would do that.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Any other questions?
She's got a question.
The sewers, Hiram is paying for those sewers. Are you gonna collect any fees for this?
No, as soon as the sewer is done, we already have an intergovernmental agreement. As soon as the sewer is in the ground and functioning, it will be given to the county. Also, we will be giving, and I really think by the time it's all said and done, we're gonna be looking at close to $3 million, getting that in the ground and getting it up and going. And then we're also gonna be collecting for the sewer when our water bills come in. And, you know, we have an agreement how we will do that. We'll collect for the county, then we will turn the dollars over to the county.
Will you be allowed any administrative fees for that?
You know, Kathy, I don't really know if I don't think there is, but now, Vernon was in on that, he may could tell us different. I don't know that did we make?
I thought there was, but we can check into
But it'll be
that.
minimal.
Yeah, both of us need to really check into that. I don't want to say for sure, because I wouldn't want to say anything wrong.
And one other thing, you mentioned that the city supplies some water and to the residents, but you also have a police force. right,
Yes, we
Hiram?
do. Yes, our police are very vital. I never really have a problem with our officers, because we have to have those in order to keep our businesses safe for people to want to come and shop and eat and entertain themselves. So the police department is, you know, I'm very much for them. We have to have that. The residents, again, we don't hardly ever see the police, you know, because they are over on 278, making sure it's a safe place, up at the hospital on 92. And we understand that. And it's not that I am saying I would cut our police department. There's other areas that I think we could make a difference in our budget. Just, like I said, be more responsible with our dollars. And I really think this can happen. You can't, you can't stress it too much, because somebody's gonna be mad at you if they think you're gonna cut something, you know, if you're gonna cut some dollars. But I just feel like at this point, it's something we have to do, because our citizens are fixing to be taxed, and they were promised that they never would be. And that, to me, that's very sad, very sad. Anything else? Yes,
How many years have you lived in Hiram?
all my life I've been in Hiram. Now, when I say all my life, there would be maybe we lived 3 miles outside the city limit. But, but as far as my home, since I was a little girl, we've had homes right in the city limits. For myself, it's been, a consistent time of over 40 years. But when I was young, Mom and Dad might have had a house over close to my grandparents, 3 miles away. But I came to Hiram all the time. A lot of my family lived in Hiram. A lot of my friends and the older citizens that's been there, I know these people. I've talked to every one of them. Every one of them mean a lot to me. And I know what they want, and they've just always been content. But when I was out campaigning 6 years ago, I had residents say, just don't spend our money. And I have tried to do that. Like I said, I don't want anybody to say, I don't want anybody to think that I'm totally opposed. I know Vernon sees the need for sewer, and I understand that, and more in the county, because everybody always, and Vernon told me this, and I'd really never thought about it, and like I said, every time you say something, a friend gives you good advice or suggests something. We were always told it was simply because of the alcohol, which it was, but without sewer, a lot of those businesses down there right now could not have the pouring license, and we couldn't have the big restaurants. So it went hand in hand, and I do understand the importance. I just feel like there is I know that there are things out there to help cities do this. And all I ever asked was, let's put on the brakes. Let's see if there are not some grants, some funds to help us so we don't deplete our reserves. But the decision was made that, we couldn't wait. And that's troubling, that's troubling to me.
Is your opponent a Hiram native?
No, she's not.
Any
I
idea
know-
how long she's lived in Hiram?
I want to think she moved here around 2004 to 5, somewhere in that area.
Hmm.
She came from East Cobb, and her and her husband, I don't know the circumstance, they love horses, and they come out and they found a nice place to rent, to have their horses. But I really don't know the history, what brought them to Hiram. Like I said, they were always East Cobb residents, so I don't know the history behind that.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Thank you very much.
Well, I thank y'all for